$12 million in real estate, houses for his mama, a house for his daddy, a luxury condo sitting in North Dallas, and every single brick of it, every deed, every closing, every property stacked under that name was being built while Pooh Shietsy was sitting in a federal prison in Pennsylvania with no release date in sight. Y'all need to hear this, because this ain't a story about a rapper who got rich and bought a mansion. Nah, this is a story about a real Memphis family that moved differently, that thought differently, that operated on a whole other level while the rest of the world thought Lontrell Williams Jr. was done. I'm about to break down every property, every price, every move, and by the time I'm finished, you're going to understand exactly why Pooh Shietsy came home and went right back to the top, because the foundation was already laid. $12 million worth of foundation. Let's get into it. To really understand this real estate story, you gotta understand who Pooh Shietsy is, and more importantly, you gotta understand who his father is. Because the real architect of this whole portfolio ain't just Pooh. Lontrell Williams Jr., born November 8, 1999 in Memphis, Tennessee, came up out of South Memphis, Cane Creek Apartments to be specific. That ain't a neighborhood you come from and talk soft. That's a neighborhood that either breaks you or builds you into something unmovable. For Pooh Shietsy, it built him. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., goes by a name the streets of Memphis know well, Mob Boss. And that ain't just a rap alias, fam. That man built a reputation in South Memphis from the ground up. He opened Club Martini, one of the most popping clubs in Memphis in its era. He founded Mob Ties Records, an independent label, and gave local artists a platform when nobody else was checking for Memphis like that. He was in the studio. He understood the business. He understood the streets. He understood both worlds simultaneously. This is important. Keep that in the back of your mind, because when his son blows up and then gets locked up, Mob Boss doesn't fold. He doesn't panic. He activates. He becomes the general managing the operation while the captain is behind the wall. Now, Pooh Shietsy's come up is well documented. He signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records in 2020. That same year, Back in Blood featuring Lil Durk drops and hits number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. The debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, comes out in early 2021 and debuts at number 3 on the Billboard 200, number 3. This kid is 21 years old and he's a superstar. And then, the feds catch up. June 2021, Pooh Shietsy is sentenced to 63 months in federal prison. That's over 5 years, gang. He pleaded guilty to conspiring to possess firearms in furtherance of violent crimes and drug trafficking, a plea deal that actually saved him from a potential life sentence. 3 charges dropped, but he's still going to USP Canaan in Pennsylvania, one of the most secure joints in the federal system. Most people thought that was it. Career over, money drying up, name fading, but here's where it gets crazy. While Pooh Shietsy is in a cell in Pennsylvania, his father, Mob Boss, is on the outside making real estate moves, strategic moves, quiet moves, the kind of moves that don't make headlines until years later when the FBI starts pulling property records. Let me break it down for you. Here's the real tea. The Williams family didn't wait for Pooh Shietsy to come home to start building. They started building the moment the music money came in, and they never stopped, even when the artist was behind bars. The name Lontrell Williams starts appearing on property deeds across the Memphis metro area. And here's where it gets layered, because both the father, Lontrell Williams Sr., and the son share that government name. Same first name, same last name. The Shelby County Assessor's website is lit up with that name attached to property after property after property. By the time anyone starts counting, there are more than 10 Memphis area properties registered to a Lontrell Williams. 10, plus additional holdings linked specifically to the father on the outskirts of the city. 10 properties, fam, in the Memphis metro, while Pooh Shietsy is incarcerated. Now, let me be clear. We're not talking about 10 shacks. Memphis real estate has been appreciating hard. The city has been developing. These properties, residential, investment grade, positioned in key suburbs, represent serious long-term wealth building. This is generational money thinking. This is not rapper buys a chain thinking. This is my son is coming home and he's going to have an empire waiting for him thinking. That's Mob Boss operating. That's a father who grew up in the streets, who learned the music business from the inside out, who watched his son become a star overnight. And when the legal system came for his son, he didn't just wait, he worked. The most documented purchase from this period, the family home in Cordova, Tennessee, a Memphis suburb that sits about 20 minutes outside the city. 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. Property records show this home was purchased in April 2023 2023 for $656,500. It had been listed at $719,000, meaning somebody negotiated it down over $60,000 from asking price. That's not an accident. That's a calculated move by somebody who understands how transactions work. Pooh Shietsy is still locked up at this point. He won't be released until October 2025, and yet this property is being acquired in his family's name. Deed filed, closing complete, keys in hand. Think about that for a second. Most people in prison are losing money, losing assets, losing everything they built because there's nobody holding it down on the outside. But the Williams family, they're gaining, they're stacking property, they're playing chess while the world thought the game was over for them. But that's not even the crazy part. October 2025. Pooh Shietsy walks out of USP Canaan in Pennsylvania. He served more than 3 years of that 63-month sentence. Early release, good behavior, the system doing what it's supposed to do when you hold it down inside. He's 25 years old. He's hungry, and for the first time in over 3 years, he can see what his family built while he was away. And the first major move he makes after coming home, he buys his mama a house. No cap. This might be one of the most powerful moments in recent hip-hop, not because of the price tag, though the price tag is serious, but because of what it says about who Pooh Shietsy is when the cameras aren't watching and nobody's keeping score. February 2026, just a few months after his release, Pooh Shietsy surprises his mother, Gladys Baines, Mama Shietsy, to everybody who knows the family, with a brand new home worth $1.1 million, $1.1 million purchased, deeded, done. He posts the moment on his Instagram story. You can see it. She walks through the front door and immediately understands what's happening. There are balloon letters in the kitchen spelling out home. And Mama Shietsy, a woman who held the family together through 3+ years of her son being behind federal walls, who kept the faith, who kept showing up, she breaks down right there. Not sad crying. The kind of crying that only happens when something so real catches you when you're not ready for it. His luxury real estate agent, Missy Parent, posts about it too. She quotes Pooh Shietsy's own lyrics back at him from his comeback single FDO, which stands for First Day Out. The whole world been waiting on me. I couldn't fumble this. And then she says, thank you for trusting me with your mom. Thank you for trusting me through the process. That phrase, trusting me with your mom, hits different when you understand the weight behind it. This isn't just a transaction. This is a son delivering on a promise he made to himself while sitting in a federal prison cell. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna take care of my people. I'm not gonna fumble this. $1.1 million. Mama Shietsy is straight. First major public move after prison, and it's for his mother. But here's what really happened behind the scenes. This purchase doesn't happen unless the money was protected while Pooh was locked up. This doesn't happen unless Mob Boss was holding it down and making sure the finances stayed intact across 3+ years of no new income from touring, no new record advances, nothing but streaming residuals, and a family that refused to let the bag disappear. The mom's house is the proof, the receipt, the confirmation that everything that was supposed to be preserved was preserved. Now let's talk about the piece of this story that was already in place before February 2026, the piece in Texas. Here's the part most people don't fully understand, gang, and this is where the real tea gets interesting. When Pooh Shietsy was released from federal prison in October 2025, he was placed into a residential re-entry program in Dallas, Texas. That's standard federal procedure. You serve your time. You transition through supervised re-entry before you're fully free. His records through the Federal Bureau of Prisons show his facility was in Dallas, with a supervised release date of April 11th, 2026. So for several months post-release, Dallas is his city, Dallas is his base. And true to the Williams family standard, they do Dallas like they do everything else different. During this period, Pooh Shietsy is connected to a luxury condominium unit at Windrose Tower at Legacy West. Let me paint the picture for you clearly. Legacy West is in North Dallas, technically the Plano corridor, and it is one of the most premium, high-demand real estate areas in the entire Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. Corporate headquarters, high-end dining, luxury retail, the kind of development where the average rent on a unit starts where most people's annual salaries end. Windrose Tower specifically is a luxury high-rise, panoramic views, concierge-level amenities, the type of building that has its own homeowners association board and their own security protocols and their own standards for who lives there and how they live. That is where Pooh Shietsy was based during his re-entry period, and the unit, per official documents, is in both his name and his father's name. Mob boss is right there in the picture, again, as always, because that's how the Williams family operates. They move together, father and son, same name on the deed, same mission in the streets. Now here's where it gets complicated. An eviction notice enters the picture. The property's landlord, Mano Group LLC, fires off a final notice of multiple lease violations to the Williams family after receiving a string of incident reports from the building's HOA. These reports come in between November 13th and December 7th, 2025, right in that first window after Pooh Shietsy comes home. The notice states each incident constitutes a material breach of the lease and the building's governing documents. Translation: there's activity at that luxury condo that the building is not comfortable with. Multiple incidents, multiple reports, back to back, documented. What exactly was happening? That's where the records get thin and the streets start speculating. But what's not speculative is this: the documentation from that condo eventually becomes part of the larger federal picture being built around Pooh Shietsy as 2025 turns into 2026. But here's what that Dallas condo tells you about the portfolio strategy, regardless of how things ended up. Even under supervised federal re-entry, even when Pooh Shietsy technically still belongs to the system, the standard is luxury. The standard is Legacy West. The standard is a high-rise condo in North Dallas, not a halfway house room or a budget setup. That mentality, refusing to operate below a certain standard regardless of external circumstances, that is embedded in the Williams family DNA. It's the same thinking that bought the Cordova property while Pooh was locked up. It's the same thinking that put $1.1 million into Mama Shietsy's home the moment the opportunity presented itself. It's the same thinking that says, we don't downgrade, we don't shrink, we don't accept less than what we've built ourselves toward. The Dallas condo is part of the portfolio, another marker on a map of real estate wealth that the Williams family has been building piece by piece, year by year, property by property, across Memphis and Texas both. Here's the thing nobody was ready for, gang. All of this, the mom's mansion, the Cordova family home, the 10+ Memphis properties, the Dallas luxury condo, none of it became public knowledge in full until the federal government showed up and made it unavoidable. April 1st, 2026, 6 in the morning. FBI agents are at the Cordova property, the 4-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom home on Beaver Valley Lane. They're going in and out for hours. They come out carrying computer monitors, brown paper bags full of evidence. They search every vehicle parked in the garage. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is on site alongside the feds. Neighbors are watching from their driveways. Pooh Shietsy isn't even there. He's in Dallas, where federal authorities arrest him separately. His father, mob boss, is taken into custody at the Cordova home. Father and son arrested the same morning. 8 other people arrested across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville simultaneously. And when reporters start pulling up property records on the Shelby County Assessor's website, trying to understand who owns this home, who lives here, who this family really is, that's when the full scope of the real estate portfolio starts coming into focus for the public. They search for Lontrell Williams. The assessor's database lights up. Property after property after property registered under that name across the Memphis metro area. More than 10 properties, plus the father's separate holdings on the outskirts of the city, plus the Cordova home itself at $656,500, plus the $1.1 million mama's mansion that had gone viral on Instagram just 2 months earlier, plus the Dallas connection. The internet went crazy for real, because suddenly this wasn't just another rapper arrest story. Suddenly the headline wasn't just about the legal situation, it was about what had been quietly assembled in the background while the world was watching the music career and the court dates. A $12 million real estate portfolio, built mostly in silence, revealed by federal agents who came looking for something else entirely. That's the most calculated part of the whole operation, no cap. The Williams family never announced these moves publicly. Pooh Shietsy wasn't posting property deeds. Mob boss wasn't doing press about buying Memphis real estate while his son was incarcerated. They kept the money moves invisible. They let the music be the public face and kept the wealth building behind closed doors until the government showed up and made the doors irrelevant. The streets been knowing. The ones who really move never tell you what they're building until it's already built. Let me zoom out, fam, because this story is bigger than Pooh Shietsy, bigger than Memphis, bigger than one family's real estate portfolio. This story is about a question hip-hop has been trying to answer for 40 years. How do you take what you earn in the streets and in the music and turn it into something that lasts? Something that your kids can touch? Something that exists after the charts move on and the culture shifts and the next generation of artists comes up? Most of the time, the answer has been, you don't. You spend it, you lose it, you go away for a few years and come home to nothing. The music money goes to lawyers and bail and lifestyle and everybody who was eating off your name while you were up. That's the cycle that repeats itself constantly in this culture, and it's a cycle that has kept generational wealth out of reach for countless families who had every opportunity to build it. The Williams family broke that cycle, and the way they broke it is instructional. It starts with Mob Boss understanding something that most people in his position don't, that his son's success represented a window that could close at any time for any reason, legal or otherwise. So the mission wasn't just to enjoy the success. The mission was to convert the success into hard assets before the window could close. Music money is volatile. Streaming numbers fluctuate. Record deals run out. Touring stops when you stop being able to tour. But a deed to a property in Memphis? That don't fluctuate. That compounds. That appreciates. That generates rental income even when you're not generating new music. That exists in your children's name and your grandchildren's name if you structure it right. So while Pooh Shietsy was in USP Canaan, Mob Boss was converting music money into Memphis real estate, property by property, deed by deed. More than 10 transactions across the metro area. A $656,500 Cordova home purchased in April 2023, mid-sentence. A separate property on the outskirts of the city in the father's name specifically. A portfolio being assembled like a puzzle, quietly, consistently, with no audience and no applause. And then Pooh Shietsy comes home in October 2025, steps back into his power, and the first thing he adds to the portfolio is a $1.1 million home for his mother. That move says everything about values. You can talk about what you'll do for your family when you make it. Actually doing it, actually buying your mama $1 million home the first chance you get after walking out of federal prison, that's a different conversation entirely. Add it all up. The Cordova family compound, the 10+ Memphis metro properties, the Dallas luxury condo at Windrose Tower in Legacy West, the $1.1 million Mama's Mansion, $12 million in real estate, assembled across years, across states, across circumstances that would have broken most people's financial momentum entirely. That is the blueprint, fam. Move quiet, stack property, protect the family, maintain the standard, and when your people come home from wherever the world sent them, make sure there's something real for them to come home to. Real, recognize real. And this right here, this is as real as it gets. Here's where I want to leave y'all with something to think about. The culture celebrates the chains. The culture celebrates the cars, the bottles, the videos, and look, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your grind. Pooh Shietsy earned that. Mob Boss earned that. The Williams family earned everything they have. But what separates them from 100 other artists who made the same money and have nothing to show for it? It's the thinking behind the moves. It's the understanding that real wealth isn't what you show. It's what you own. It's what's on the deed. It's what's in the assessor's records. It's what's still there when the music slows down and the legal troubles come and life tests you in ways you couldn't have predicted. $12 million in real estate, built by a Memphis family that refused to let their money be as temporary as their troubles. Pooh Shietsy's story is far from over. The legal situation he finds himself in as of early 2026 is serious, and only time will tell how that chapter resolves. But the real estate story, the portfolio story, the story of a father who held the bag down while his son did time and made sure there was something worth coming home to, that story is already written, and it's one of the most important financial stories in hip-hop in the last decade. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did Mob Boss make the right moves? And what does it take for more families in the culture to think like this? Let me know what y'all think. Subscribe if you want the real tea delivered with no filter. We out.